and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pylon's First Sound. I am Matt Caraccio, and in this edition of Inside the Pylon, we're going to go ahead and begin to look at the wide receiver position, specifically the traits that make the wide receiver position so incredibly fun to evaluate and watch on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm really just excited to get into this. The discussion today is going to really center around one of my favorite prospects, Tyler Boyd. Is 6'2", 190 pounds. He's 22 years of age. And last season, he had 91 receptions for 926 yards and 6 touchdowns. He also added on 40 rushing attempts for 349 yards. He's a versatile player. He was used in a lot of different ways. And as I've learned throughout my studies, I mean, I'm a student of the game. I'm a guy who goes out there and reads every book, every tactical and technical publication I can about this game that I'm so passionate and I'm sure you're so passionate about. These are just some of the things that I've learned. And one thing that I've learned, especially at the Scouting Academy where I studied and continue to study, is context is so important. So I think when you're talking about a player like Tyler Boyd, it's important to remember that he was used in a lot of different ways on the football field to attack opposing defenses. But we're really concerned more with him as a wide receiver, especially as he transitions to the next level. So let's get right into it. What are we talking about when we're talking about the wide receiver? Well, the wide receiver position, as I've come to understand it and as I continue to study it, these are the big traits that really stand out: athleticism, play speed, hands, play strength, blocking, yards after catch, separation quickness. I mean, the list is probably, this is not comprehensive by any means, but there's definitely a good chunk of traits here that I think are really important at the next level. In this edition, we're going to be focusing on athleticism at the wide receiver position and the hands of a wide receiver. So let's break this down piece by piece. Athleticism. When we're talking about athleticism, I really think the first three traits listed really say the whole thing: quickness, explosiveness, and balance. And the one that I really want to highlight there is balance. I think balance is the glue that makes all of the other outstanding athletic traits and even positional traits really, 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 really impressive. Balance, I think, is what allows a player to take their quickness, their explosiveness, their natural born gifts, and really translate that into executing at a high level on the football field. Because if you don't have balance, you're going to have a hard time doing things like moving fluidly on the field, meaning that your hips are tight, that your upper body is tight, and that you're not really having any excess movement. It's going to be very hard for you to have a very good catch radius and body control if you don't have flexibility and balance. Leaping ability. It's great if you can jump out of a gym, but if you can't land in bounds or land on the field, man, again, balance is going to help you make sure that that leaping ability transition translates into a catch or a touchdown. Um, Getting vertical off the line of scrimmage, your first step is incredibly important. And of course, transitioning out of breaks, moving through cuts, change of direction. Again, I think balance and flexibility are two of the traits that really, really underlie a lot of what I just said. You can't be a fantastic route runner. You can't be explosive in the open field unless you have that balance and that flexibility. So we're going to try to see if we can capture some of these traits when we're looking at Boyd's film. Let's also talk about hands. Having good hands, manual dexterity. Can you make a catch in your fingertips? Can you make a catch in your fingertips, whether it's 2 feet above your head and you can only get the tips of your fingers on it? Or can you make the catch when it's at your shoelaces and you can barely get your fingers on it? Can you catch the ball with your fingertips? Even when it's thrown right at you, can you catch it in your fingertips? Jerry Rice was well known for saying what really made him such a great wide receiver is he never caught the ball in the palm of his hand. He always caught it in his fingertips. Hands catcher. Does the wide receiver really meet the ball in the air with his hands? Doesn't wait for the ball to come to him. He's aggressively plucking the ball out of the air. because you want a player that's grabbing the ball out of the air because that means that he's giving that defensive back less time to really make a play on it. Concentration. Does he have concentration in traffic and through contact as he goes to catch the football? If he can't catch the football in a congested area or he can't catch the ball when there's imminent contact through the ground, then he's going to have a lot of problems being successful at the next level. Does he follow his hands? Does he follow the football into his hands? That's part of concentration for sure, but you can watch when they talk about a player peeking to see what's happening before the ball's actually in his hands. That's super important when it comes to concentration and eyes following his hands. Can he frame the football with his hands as he's preparing to catch it? Does he have that concentration level? Catch radius, can he extend outside of his frame, whether it's above his shoulders, below his waist, or outside left or outside right? Can he extend his catch radius beyond his frame to make a reception? Catches 80% of the balls. Now, this is something that I actually heard somebody talk about, and I forget the name of the person specifically. It escapes me at this point, but it just really resonated me, and it was something that again I'm learning. I'm somebody who studies the game, and I thought that this was something that really resonated with me when they talk about what is a good wide receiver doing? They're catching that ball often. How often? 80% of the time or more. And it really made sense because, I mean, these are human beings. Sometimes you drop the football, even if it's your job. Sometimes you drop the football, but you want to see 80% or more. Body catching. I'm somebody who's very different about body catching. I don't think body catching is what you want to do in the open field with nobody around you and you have a chance to get extra yardage. But if it's 3rd and 2 and you're trying to move the chains on a game winning drive, and getting that first down could be a critical component in scoring the winning touchdown, then you've got to make sure you shield off defenders and protect that football and catch it without having any indication or any possibility of them knocking it out of your hands. So, body catching is not something that you want to do all the time. It's like anything else. A little bit sometimes can go a long way, specifically in those critical times during the game where you've got to get the first down. You can't afford having a defender break up this pass. Michael Irvin talked about it. um, Paul Zimmerman, in his book, The Thinking Man's Guide to Pro Football, where he interviewed a lot of top wide receivers, they actually even mentioned catching that football between your rib cage and your bicep is a good place to really shield a defender on your back when you're running that slant route and you can kind of control that football to the ground. So I think body catching has a place. The deep ball. Can he catch a deep ball? What does his hands look like on the deep ball? When we're talking about hands on deep ball, we want to see late hands because that's the primary read for a defensive back when they're trying to make a play on the ball. They're watching your hands, they're watching your eyes, and if you have late hands, that's going to give them less of a jump on making a play. So late hands is great. So before we get started looking at some Tyler Boyd tape, just a reminder, this video reviewed here are not hosted on this server, and the original video content is not considered the property of myself or Inside the Pylon. The videos are considered to be used under the fair use doctrine of the United States copyright law, Title 17, U.S. Code Sections 107 and 118. Videos are used for editorial and educational purposes only, and myself and Inside the Pylon do not claim ownership of any original video content. Inside the Pylon and myself do not use said video clips in advertisements, marketing, or for direct financial gain. All video content in each clip is considered owned by the individual broadcast companies. Okay, here we go. Let's get right into it. We're looking at Tyler Boyd playing against North Carolina this past season. So this is where I think Boyd is going to see some challenges, and I think we're going to get a good feel for his athleticism. So let's just get right into it. He's obviously receiving the football right now, and we want to see how he looks with the football in his hands. We want to look at his athleticism and hands. So on this play, he shows some good blocking, really nice positioning. So right in this play, if we take it right back, we can see that he receives the football, he catches it in his hands, and he immediately gets upfield. Now, this is a one-on-one matchup that Boyd needs to win. Unfortunately, I think he doesn't do a great job of being elusive in this situation, but he does get positive yardage. So this is something that you see from Tyler Boyd. His first instinct at times is to get outside of the defender and run upfield. But again, look at his hands. He plucks that ball from the air. He meets that ball in the air. Let's bring that back just a second. Maybe take a look at that a little bit closer. There. You could see his hands extending away from his body. So that way, if there is contact in the NFL, this is going to be a much tighter window, guys. Not necessarily just because there's defensive players around him, but rather this defensive back is probably right here, ready to make a hit on him. And he's got to be able to cushion that ball and handle that aftershock of making the reception and being able to take that ball to the ground or maybe get some positive yardage after the catch. So being able to catch that ball in his hands, you could see his head focused on the ball coming in. You can see the ball, he's going to meet it in the air, and if there was imminent contact, you know that he has already ingrained himself those prerequisite skills that are going to make him a successful player. So he takes this ball, meets it in the air, and he immediately tries to get outside. So athletically, he wasn't trying to do anything incredible, just trying to get up the field. So on this ball, it was a nice little slant route, makes the catch, and defender draped on him. He meets the ball again, hands catcher, and notice this. This is something that I think is really important. Notice how quickly he gets off here, right? He takes him outside, brings him across the middle. Again, athletically, he doesn't have a tremendous first step, but he does know how to create separation at the line of scrimmage. And as he's running, you can see, boom, catches that ball right there, right in his hands. And what makes this so good is the defender's right on top of him, and this is something that Boyd has in spades, really strong hands. And I think you see it here. You know, this defender's right on top of him, ready to make a play, and he's able to take this reception and secure it to the ground. It's a great play. Great hands there. So, even though the play wasn't to Tyler Boyd, let's take a look at how he runs his route and let's see if we can get a feel for his athleticism. Let's take a look at what his first step off the line of scrimmage looks like, and let's see how he gets in and out of his breaks. Does he move fluidly in and out of his breaks? Does he make cuts without losing speed? So let's go ahead and take a look. And this is what you see about him. If you notice, his first step is vertical, but he doesn't really get in that sprinter stance where he explodes off the line of scrimmage. There it is, right after the snap. See how upright he is? You would want to see his body lean be a little bit more 45 degrees to the ground. If you think about this perpendicular line, you'd want to see it more 45 degrees, like you're exploding out of a starting block. If you look at his um, teammate over here, you can see it's a little bit more closer to the ground, a little bit more explosion. See, I think Tyler Boyd has that in him, but you want to see that explosion, especially at the next level. He's not going to get cushions like this. And this route is a little bit more of a corner route, not much to it. It's going on to the next play. Again, this is a great play to take a look at, and hopefully they'll give us a better angle. But again, you don't see that vertical step, that explosion off the line of scrimmage. But what you do see is an indication of two things. If you rewind this right here, this is one thing I like about Tyler Boyd is I think there's another gear in this guy. And the reason why is right here. Okay, catches that ball in his hands. He has the awareness. There's the defender right here. He has the awareness to make the catch, and he knows that he's going to have to make a move immediately to try to get upfield and make a play. And he has the wherewithal and the awareness to do that. If he can harness that immediately off the line of scrimmage, I think there's tremendous potential here to be very explosive at the next level. But again, you can't project, you have to evaluate what you see. Now, this is one outstanding play because of the way he makes that catch. gets those feet in bounds, balance, flexibility, and strong hands. He makes that catch. Works off of him. You'd like to see him swat those hands away and work a little bit better against tight coverage. But again, worthy of actually taking one more look. So off the line of scrimmage, again, rewinding it back. If we look at his athleticism, gets off, but he should be using those hands to get a little bit more. Now he gets separation at the top of his route, which is really nice because it's not because he's necessarily explosive. It's more or less because he's very aware of where the defensive back is relative to the route he wants to run. Again, this is the second time we're seeing that intelligence factor. Sometimes you don't necessarily have the most dominating athleticism, but you understand your capabilities and you understand the game and you're able to capitalize on that. This is an NFL window, guys, right here. This guy is draped on top of him, and this is an actual catch he's going to have to make on Sundays. He actually takes the ball away from the defensive back, keeps his feet in bounds, and makes the catch. That's an actual great play on the by the defensive back. Now, in this particular situation, he's obviously trying to take away the inside. He's got that inside leverage on Boyd. Um, and Boyd does a nice job of taking him there. And you could see the flexion in his body, the capability. He's got the physical capability. We just don't see that explosiveness on every play. But he does a good job here. The cornerback is absolutely making a great read here. And you can see him already breaking on the route. So Tyler Boyd, no matter how explosive he is, you can see this guy is in full stride, ready to make this play. Again, Tyler Boyd catches it in his hands, immediately secures the football. Unfortunately, he can't get upfield. As you can see by the score, Carolina is starting to run away with this game a little bit. But you could see this right here. This is a great indicator of, just what type of athleticism does he have. Right there. I've just got to rewind that right here. Okay, the ball's coming off. Here we go. He makes the reception where he secures the kickoff. And now he's about to run. And watch him turn on the second gear there. There's another gear in this guy, and this is what he needs to bring on Sundays. It's just great tackling. He trips a little bit, and they actually arm tackle him, but you could see that extra gear. Even on that particular route, you could see that he got off the line of scrimmage much better than in earlier routes. Again, this is the paradox that is Tyler Boyd. You have to decide what you think of him as an athlete. You have to decide what you think about Tyler Boyd as an athlete. And even on that play, you don't see that explosion at the line of scrimmage, but you do see active hands and the ability to create some separation. When he gets those hands going, he can actually get off the press pretty well. Again, there are a lot of other traits we can be talking about when watching Tyler Boyd, but we're trying to focus primarily on athleticism. That's something that I think is a little bit interesting about him. He gets the top speed. He's trying to make a cut, gets upfield. He doesn't think twice about going in and making a play and trying to get yards after the catch, even if that means contact. But you could see some of those athletic traits there. It's a great catch right here. He again plucking it away from the defensive back, again, who's making excellent plays on the football. Right there. Just again, outstanding hands. I argue they're the best in the class, but you know, we'll see. I mean, I think he is. This is just an unbelievable. This is an NFL situation, tight coverage. He has the ability, again, catch radius. He can extend outside his frame, look at the ability to turn, adjust in the air, and grab the football out of the air. Just a good football play. Makes the catch through contact. That's exactly what we want to see, a tough, rugged receiver. And again, you can see the athleticism. You see a little bit more burst there than you saw in other instances. It's this inconsistency which is so maddening about his game that you have to make there. Oh, what a great catch again! That's a perfect example of what you need to see. Let's go back and take a look at that. Right off the line of scrimmage, boom, comes out of his break, contact right there, leaps up in the air, again, extending with his hands, knows he's going to get hit, makes the reception, and goes to the ground. Fantastic hands. And this is the type of receiver that you're going to need in the NFL if you need to move the chains. I'm a big advocate of Tyler Boyd being used in the slot because I think that lack of burst at the line of scrimmage may or may not be something that he can necessarily overcome. That being said, there's so many different ways that you see him changing direction here. You see some little moves with agility and quickness and flexibility where you think he has a chance to really um, be a better change of direction player at the next level. And off the line of scrimmage, that assures him a cleaner release, and it may have an opportunity for him to be a very much a big slot receiver who can learn or can develop better change of direction at the next level. Not be, and again, the reason why I say that is because it's not that he's incapable, it's is he's inconsistent. And that's the thing that's so maddening about Tyler Boyd. But that's what makes him so fantastic. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Inside the Pylon First Sound. Again, I am Matt Caraccio. You can follow me on Twitter at Matty_OS. And I hope you've enjoyed this look at the hands and maybe how to evaluate on video what makes a good hands catcher. I think Tyler Boyd is an excellent example of that. And in terms of athleticism, you see how some receivers like Tyler Boyd, it's very, very inconclusive exactly what level of athleticism you have. He's sometimes extremely good, and sometimes he's just adequate. And you want to know is where does he lie? And that's where I think you really are really difficult for an evaluator and as an analyst to put yourself. But those are the decisions we try to make, and hopefully you've learned something because I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun talking, and I know that I'm always growing and learning myself. Please don't hesitate to hit me up on Twitter, and please keep following Inside the Pylon for more episodes of First Sound.